Coming up on This Week in Google, an update to the Kindle Fire. What does it mean for Android? And for that matter, what does ice cream sandwich mean for Android? We get some opinions on that. Also, the RIAA gives a report card to Google. We'll tell you how they made out. And a holiday menace finally controlled by the FTC. All coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 126, recorded December 21st, 2011. Schmidt to English. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Ford, featuring voice-activated Sync AppLink. Now you can control select smartphone apps with your voice so you keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Check it out in the 2012 Ford Fiesta and at Ford.com/technology. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly, all streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show that covers Google, the cloud, Facebook, frogs, all kinds of things. Tom Merritt here sitting in for Leo Laporte, who's off on holiday vacation, but happy to be back joining Gina Trapani from smarterware.org. How you doing, Gina?
Great. How are you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be doing this last pre-holiday show. Jeff Jarvis, buzzmachine.com, also here. Hi, Jeff.
Hello there, and since it is, I have not done this in a while, but since it is right before Christmas, if you need that last-minute gift, I don't know.
Yes. Nice.
For the reader in your family.
Yes, if you have one, if there are any left.
The perfect gift for someone who has everything but Jeff's book. Right there. Check it out.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into the news. The RIAA never hesitates from throwing around some judgments. And they've put out a report card for Google because Google said that they were going to, really pay attention to how the search engine works with piracy, because there have been all of these accusations that Google makes all their money off piracy and they don't do anything to fight it. So a year on, the RIAA has graded Google's efforts as incomplete. I used to get these in school, actually, an I. They didn't give F's for a while in elementary school. I would get an I for incomplete.
I thought it stood for improving.
Maybe that's what it did in elementary school, but with the RIAA...
You had a complex your whole life, and you were actually just improving, Tom.
I thought I was incomplete. I was improving the whole time.
See, it's the same. Life is a beta, man.
No,
you're always incomplete, and you're always improving. It means the same thing.
That's right, exactly. As a kid, we just made puns out of it. I got an I. And then we point at our face.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, schoolyard wit, I can tell.
It hasn't changed.
Oh, yeah.
The industry group complains that phrases such as Lady Gaga MP3 download are still suggested by the autocomplete feature of Google search.
And so why should they ever change that? If that's what people are putting in there, that's what the algorithm says. Google should not be in a position to edit the autocompletes.
And I download Lady Gaga MP3s from Amazon all the time after I pay for them. It's wonderful.
Lady Gaga MP3 download. The first result is emp3world.com. I've known nothing about them. Then MP3 Raid, then BMP3. The Amazon Born This Way Lady Gaga MP3 is the fifth result. So this is their problem. It's not that the autocomplete says Lady Gaga MP3 download. It's that you have all of these other sites that we don't know whether they're legit places. I mean, it's 15 cents a track.
It's not Google's job. It's not Google's job to go in and edit the web. The RIAA should go take a lesson from Louis C.K.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, wow. They should adapt their business model. I agree. Yeah. But they fault Google for refusing to explicitly prioritize sites with authorized content over unauthorized sites. And what it comes down to is, how do you judge that? How do you, as Google, decide algorithmically, because it's not a person sitting there indexing all these things, how do you decide algorithmically what's authorized and what isn't?
And the next thing we're going to hear is European authorities saying that Google is editing the web and Google has too much authority and Google shouldn't have this much power.
Well, yeah, exactly. Which is it? Are they an algorithm that indexes without bias, or are they going in and tweaking things and making judgments?
Well, I mean, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, Google pulled down, was this an AdWords issue? Pulled down the links to those pharmacies that were selling drugs and within, you know, inside the U.S. illegally, right? So that was, they had to do that. It was incumbent on them to do that. So, I mean, the RIAA can make the argument that they shouldn't have these sites selling these ringtones. It looks like this first result is selling Gaga ringtones. I don't know how you judge whether or not that's legal. You know, I don't know. Is it up to Google to figure that out? I mean, is it incumbent on the RIAA to prove that these sites are doing something illegal and take down those sites, or is it about Google? I think it's on the RIAA to figure that out, take down those sites if they're doing something illegal.
RIAA. I think you're right, Gina, and it actually becomes kind of a precursor to SOPA, where
right, we need SOPA.
Blacklist,
oh wait, no,
if the government won't do the blacklist, then the RIAA says Google should be doing the blacklist.
Right, exactly. Well, and there is a good question here, and I actually Nilay and Leo got into this on This Week in Tech this weekend, which is there. You know, we say, okay, don't use DRM because that gets in the way, and then we say, and don't make Google pull down the unauthorized sites because that's wrong for the algorithm, and then we say, don't pass SOPA because that breaks the internet. And I agree with all of those things, but what should they do? I mean, what is the recourse for copyright infringement? And, you know, I think, honestly, we need to rethink what copyright means and what deserves protection. But short of that, how do we enforce copyright?
Well, the argument from Louis C.K. and the argument from Apple iTunes, too, would be make it easy to buy, and generally people will. And by the way, when things get pirated, I mean, you know, Louis said at some point, so I know someone's get pirated, but last count was $750,000, and that was 2 days ago, in sales. Now, he's Louis C.K., and he's beloved, and he's great, and he's wonderful. But at some point, you, as Gina says, you've got to adapt your business model to the future. Is it wrong to pirate stuff? Yeah, I think it is. But whack-a-mole, man. You're gonna be licking ants off the screen for a long time.
Right, if there were a lot more sites that offer MP3. Right. If there are a lot more sites that let you download the Gaga MP3 for, you know, $1.99 or whatever, they would show up, you know, higher, more people would do it, they'd be more relevant. That's, you know, I think that's one answer for sure.
Yeah, why aren't the record companies hosting files and providing an affiliate link situation like Amazon?
Exactly.
Or letting Amazon run it?
Right. I mean, if people are Googling Lady Gaga MP3 downloads, you know, give them what they want. They want the music. Give them the music, and they'll pay if it's easy and if it's, you know, like I said, I bought all the Gaga stuff through Amazon, actually. And, you know, listen, there are always people that are going to steal. Oh, wait. I mean, if someone's, you know, wants to steal, then they're going to steal. But I think the majority of people, and there's yet to be data about this, but I'd love for us to try to get the data. You give people the opportunity to buy something at a fair price and make it easy and you know, on the up and up, they'll do it.
Flood the internet with legitimate links that make you money. That's the way the search engine game is played. Search engine optimize. Drive these other sites off the page.
Exactly, and give it to them in a format that they want. People are asking specifically for MP3s, right? They don't want to download your crazy proprietary player that, you know, give them the MP3, which Amazon does and several services do, some of the big services, and they'll do it.
Now, the thing that the RIAA paid the most attention to was takedown requests. Last year, Google said that the first service to get faster takedowns would be Blogger and Search, and the RIAA didn't say anything about how well Google kept its promise with respect to those two services, which is pretty much admitting that it kept its promise with those two services. But they did criticize Google's management of the Android marketplace, noting that Google doesn't adequately screen apps before accepting them into the App Store, also complaining that apps removed from the marketplace aren't automatically blacklisted from AdSense and Google Wallet. Two separate issues there. One is, I mean, they don't screen apps. That's the whole point of the Android marketplace. Should they have to just because the RIAA would like them to?
No, of course not. The RIAA has a problem with an app. They should file a complaint. There's channels for filing problems, complaints, bugs, whatever with different apps. They should do that, and then they should be pulled if it's a legitimate complaint. But Google shouldn't. I mean, that's insane. The whole idea of the market is that developers can upload their apps, and there isn't this review, you know, that it's an open market.
Yeah, and then they finally complained that the tools Google has built have limits on the number of submissions rights holders can submit each day, and they don't scale to the scope of piracy online.
This is amazing.
You know, having recently been the target of a takedown request, it seems like they work well and hit lots of people that didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. They're deeply efficient for taking out, legitimate fair use examples.
I think the scope is wrong in that it's like shooting buckshot trying to hit a bullseye.
Yep.
All right, we kind of said all of this stuff before. It's nothing new, but there's the report.
Tom's a little bitter about the music industry these days.
I know. I like Tom. He's kind of salty about this. I like that. I mean, clearly the RIAA wants to make Google out to be the boogeyman, right? They're, it doesn't shock me at all. They gave them a terrible report card. I mean, they're using this information to pass things like, well, the RIAA is involved in SOPA. Is it? Are they? I think they are. Is it? Or is it just the MPAA?
Are. They're not as high profile. The MPAA is kind of taken point on that one, so they're making all the statements. So,
right.
And frankly, I think that we have over-indexed the amount of discussion that needs to be had around the media industry. There are people doing actual harm to actual people involving life or death situations, as well as crazy amounts of malware out there, none of which is getting prioritized. You don't see the committee in Congress pushing at the last minute before the holidays to put in an anti-malware bill.
Yeah.
Which would actually protect people.
They don't protect people, they protect institutions.
That's right. Well, that's very obvious lately.
Yep.
Google renewed their search deal for Firefox. So this is good news for Firefox. They make
and for Google
80+% of their money from the search deal with Google. Although there was talk that there's a Bing version of Firefox, meaning they could have gone to Bing and got that money. So Jeff, I think you're right. This may be a better thing for Google because it keeps them in a large browser footprint.
I was asked today, and I don't even know. I mean, I know that Chrome has now passed Firefox, but where does Firefox? Where do they stand against IE? In market share? Does anybody know?
IE just recently dipped under 50% of the marketplace.
Right, and that was a big deal. First time in 10 years or something, right? That it was below 50%. Yeah, I thought that the IE just, I'm just from memory, I thought IE just went below 50%, and then it's, Firefox and Chrome. And has Chrome surpassed Firefox at this point?
Chrome, it's a specific statistic in a certain way that you count it in the United States.
Right,
Chrome has passed Firefox. I think in the general, it's still Firefox is
neck and neck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what it means is it's both of them against Microsoft, which is I think why it makes sense for them to be together. And Google kind of has to, the great thing about even though I'm a Chrome user now, and I like Chrome, Firefox's presence is very good for the market. And Google supporting that in a tangible way, I think, is a good thing, and it pushes the competition. It's not unlike that time when Microsoft invested in Apple when it needed help. Keeping Firefox alive, I think, is good for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on Tech News Today under the auspices of is this a problem for Google for antitrust, because they're under so many antitrust investigations. To go into Firefox means there they are in another place dominating. But at the same time,
they're supporting their survival.
If they don't, then they're just giving over market share to somebody else.
It's sort of sad, though, to put it that way. They're supporting their survival. It's like, Firefox's largest source of revenue has a competing browser. I mean, if Firefox hadn't had Google and went to Bing, it would have been the death knell for any power user, nerd, I mean, maybe not the death knell. You can always change your search engine, right? Your
you can change it to Bing right now, to Ding.
Yeah, you could change it to Bing right now, exactly. But I feel bad about Firefox actually kind of getting trampled by Chrome in a way. I love Chrome and I use Chrome. I just remember kind of when Firefox came out and people loved it and started to switch and getting people to switch their default browser seemed like an impossible feat, that it just would never happen, and it happened, and Firefox proved that could happen. And I don't know, I feel kind of bad.
According to Stat Counter, Chrome had 25.69% of the global browser market in November, Firefox 25.23%. Net applications has Chrome with 18.18% and Firefox 22.14%. So it depends on who's counting.
Right.
Yeah, Gina, I think the answer to the hegemony of the big companies is more open source products, is more Apaches and Firefoxes and Linuxes. And, in that sense, I feel a little guilty liking Chrome because we need to support these other things. I download Firefox, I use it here and there, but I think that that's our answer as an open net. Even though I'm a Google fanboy, I don't want Google to own the world. I certainly don't want Microsoft to. I don't want Twitter to. The more we have open platforms, the better off we all are.
Yeah, I actually tried to switch to Firefox recently because of the improvements with tab management and responsiveness. And for a while, I was enjoying it. And I was like, oh, I like this. I can use NoScript again. I can use a bunch of other add-ons for security. And then after a couple weeks, the tab management just bogged down. And I don't know if it's that I need to keep restarting Firefox to clear out the memory, but I went back to Chrome. And
my Chrome has been bogging down lately. It something opens up in some window, and then it just starts going. I've got to relaunch it, which is fairly new for me.
That has been happening to me when I have spreadsheets, which I always have open because we do all of our rundowns in there. Every once in a while, it will suddenly just take forever for it to open new tabs, and everything else grinds to a halt, and then that just goes away. I don't know what it is. It may not even be a Chrome issue. It may be some other operating system or internet issue. I don't know, but
Firefox's extensions are still better, and for power users who do, like, I launch Firefox when I want to use Down the Mall, which is my favorite download manager. Firebug is available in Chrome, but it's not quite as rich as it is in Firefox. But these are pretty strong power uses for edge cases. But that's when I launch Firefox, and I think, oh, this is pretty and new, and maybe I'll try and stick to it, and then I wind up back at Chrome.
I'll also continue to use Firefox for archive.org. Because there's a bug that happens every once in a while in Chrome when I upload something to archive, it never redirects to my page. And, of course, the search engine hasn't indexed yet, so I have to wait like a half hour before I can find the thing that I just uploaded. Whereas in Firefox, it never fails. It always goes and redirects.
Oh.
That's just a weird bug, though. Google Plus got some improvements right before the new year. Pump up or down the volume. This is from the Google Plus blog post.
The Scobel feature.
Yeah, so you can sort of. This is interesting. It's not just a mute. I love Scobel's posts on Google Plus, though. I made that joke one day, but that was because I was reading all these posts. I'm like, wow, Google Plus is great, and I realized like 9 of the things I'd read were from Scobel. But but it's good. But you can
This week in Scobel, your show.
You can add controls that enable you to fine-tune your stream so that certain people show up less often than others, as it blends that.
Or circles. Isn't it circle? Isn't that by
when viewing the stream for a particular circle, you'll now see a slider at the top that lets you adjust how posts from that circle. You're right, Jeff.
So you could make Scobel his own circle, which of course he deserves to be. But otherwise, it's circles, I think. Yeah, and I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. So I haven't been able to play around.
This is interesting. I keep a VIP Twitter list of people whose tweets I absolutely don't want to miss, and I will scroll back and actually read it. It's a very small group of people.
In that?
Well, it's a private list. But I kind of do a similar thing on Google+. I have this inner circle where I want to see every single post, and I really love that I can say, turn up the volume all the way on these, and the rest I'm okay with just sort of the stream flowing by, and if I miss a day, no big deal. So, but if it's on a per circle basis, if Jeff is in my inner circle and also my really loud, noisy people circle, if I turn down the volume on one and up on the other, I wonder what it does. So I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm not sure. But I like this. This is kind of the Twitter problem.
I have it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So I've never used it before. So okay, I got it.
So you're turning down your friends?
I'm going to turn down my friends. I don't know what that means.
I hear from them all the time.
But I don't see anything change.
Well, it doesn't happen immediately.
Yeah, no. What happens is that it's going to feed in more to your mainstream.
I see.
So your big stream proper.
Okay.
So this is like Facebook top stories, except you get to graphic equalize them. You get to play with the settings sliders.
Yeah, it could be me, but go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to say it sounds pretty cool, but I want to play with it to see how it works first.
Yeah.
I've been noticing, and I like Google Plus, I abandoned it for about a week because I was traveling, and I wasn't in there much. And I'm getting less conversation there now. I wonder if it penalized me and put me in streams less. And I got less noticed as a result. Because what this reveals is, of course, the stream is not complete. The stream is some product of an algorithm. And, who gets put in your stream how much. Yeah. So even though the number of followers has gone up, my conversations have gone on. Either that or I'm just saying stupid-ass things.
Well, I love how this is so reflective of the Facebook and Google Plus's different approaches, right? Like Facebook figures out, kind of auto detects who your list should be and tries to do it for you and tries to figure out your top stories for you. And Google's like, here are all the sliders and buttons and circles and just drag this here. Like you set this up for yourself. I prefer having more control, but it is definitely very different approaches to it.
I do like the fact that I don't have, it's not an all or nothing. You know, there's a couple people on Twitter that I blocked, and I didn't really want to block. I just kind of wanted to turn them down, and this would have been perfect for that.
That's really true.
Yes.
Also, redesigned Google Bar, where the red notifications indicator is. One thing I've noticed, I don't think it was part of this update, but you actually get the actual number instead of maxing out at 9, which is a little different. But they also have changed the notifications, so you get a little more information about what's in them. Before, you kind of had to click through with a lot of them to see what they were actually saying. Now, as you can see in Eileen's, you get a little summary, a little bit more of one-liner about what's going on, so you don't have to click all the way in.
Right. So instead of saying someone +1 your post, it shows you the content of your post and says someone +1 this, so you know what post it is without having to click over to the side or expand it. That's nice. That's handy.
Yeah, that is. I mean, a lot of times I would click in just because I'm like, I don't understand what this notification is about. Then I'd click in and be like, oh, well, that's all it was? Oh. Yeah.
Right. Well, right. I was having that experience too. Like, really, I just clicked to find out that I got, a couple of people +1. That, it felt like, why did I get bothered for this? So it seems like just like better information density, kind of one view.
And pages for brands.
So this is actually the Scoble fix.
You can now delegate up to 50 managers as administrators for a page. Remember when they launched pages, it was 1 page per person. So now I can bring in all my co-hosts on shows into brand pages. A new notification flow will ensure that these managers stay in the loop on all the activity that takes place on a given page, so the managers know what's going on. And they'll show an aggregated count of users that have engaged with your page, a little metric, either by +1ing or by adding it to a circle, so you can get an at-a-glance summary of who has been visiting your page and interacting with it.
So some nice changes. They do keep developing the thing.
Yeah. Some stuff with photos as well.
December's usually a slow month, right? But not on the Google Plus team, it sounds like. And also some photos, the photo updates.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they improved that somehow, right?
Viewing a photo in Lightbox has been completely redesigned with improved navigation, enhanced comment legibility, and just better overall utility, they say.
And that makes sense in time for the holidays.
Well, yeah, and so many photographers use Google Plus. That's going to be.
I wondered whether that was on purpose or whether that was accidental. Did they plan for Trey Ratcliffe to make it great for him, or did Trey Ratcliffe come in and make Google Plus a great place for photographers?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. It's probably more of Trey than Google, but I wouldn't say that they didn't have that in mind as one of the uses.
But boy, photographers do love it, and it's great. It makes it so visual and fun.
I jokingly get angry every time I see Trey's amazing pictures.
Yeah.
Because it stops me in my tracks. I'm like, I'll just look at Google Plus for a second. Then I'm like, wow, look at that. And then I get totally sucked in.
I've got to throw out my brownie.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break before we get to some Android news and thank our sponsor, Ford. One of the great parts of Ford's Sync is AppLink. This Week in Google, of course, brought to you by Ford. And we recently took Sync AppLink for a test drive. Check it out.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey, Tom Merritt here, taking off from the TWiT Brick House, and we're going to jump into the 2012 Ford Fiesta to try out Sync AppLink. Now, Sync AppLink lets you use apps like Pandora with simple voice commands, so you keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. All right, so we're going to see how Pandora works with Sync. Plug in the phone here by USB, and then we're going to say...
Line in. Please say a command.
Mobile apps.
Mobile apps. Please say a command.
Pandora. Now it immediately goes right to the channel that I had, which was a classical music channel. I don't really feel like that right now, so let's change that. Play station Uncle Tupelo Radio. There we go. That's better. All right, let's hit the road. And you can do all kinds of things with voice commands. You can bookmark a song, thumbs up, thumbs down, create a new channel from an artist while it's playing. All those things you probably shouldn't do while you're driving if you're doing them by the app, but you can do them safely by keeping your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. All right, we're here. So that's how Ford Sync with AppLink allows you to play Pandora with simple voice commands while you keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. Of course, it's available on the 2012 Ford Fiesta, and you can learn more at ford.com/technology. And of course, we thank Ford for their support.
Good work,
of
Tom.
This Week in Google. Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Those were fun.
Have you guys made a commercial like that before?
No, this is the first time. Leo and I both
cool.
did versions of all the different stuff. They're played all this week. I'm liking them. I think it's kind of great. Good. Thanks, man. Google's Andy Rubin trumpeting Android activations and making it clear what Android activations are. They're up to 700,000. Wait, am I reading this right? 700,000 per day? Per day. 700,000 per day. And he makes it clear when he says activation, he means someone went into a store, bought an Android phone, and activated it. And it doesn't involve used ones. Once a phone's been activated, it's been counted, and they never count it again.
That's a big number.
That's huge.
It's huge.
I was actually just waiting for I was waiting for the page to load to make sure I got it right.
Wait a second here. 700,000 times 356 equals 249 million a year. Do we believe that?
Does that add up?
You know, does it add up? It seems almost.
That doesn't work.
Too good to
if they're
be
not
true.
I mean, if they were duping, if used Androids that got activated somehow worked, there are now over 700,000 Android devices activated every day worldwide. I guess still huge.
Still,
yeah.
That doesn't. I guess
So
maybe he didn't
what's the
say
latest?
every day. He said one Wednesday.
One Wednesday just before Christmas, the last
We got a
day.
lot.
And for those wondering, we count each device only once. Activations means you go into a store, buy a device, and put it on the network by subscribing to a wireless service. So Eileen's Samsung Galaxy S2 wouldn't count because she just popped a SIM card in it. That's not activating it.
So it's 700,001.
if you count your Galaxy S2.
The chat room says that he did the same thing last year and that this was a current shopping season number, which is a good point. But even so,
okay, so it's a spike right now.
And I also got the wrong number of days in a year.
Which planet were you using as your year? That's makes a difference.
One of the new planets. Yeah, I was off on the new planet, which is new science news. You see how current I am?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see what this number goes to. But remember, the last time he talked about it, it was 550,000 per day, and I think we were having the same reaction. How could that possibly be true? Yeah. So it just keeps going up. All right. Samsung Galaxy Nexus prices already slashed.
With the contract.
With the contract, of course. We got one here, the Galaxy Nexus. It's monstrous. Have you guys got a chance to look at it or mess around with it?
I haven't. I got the ice cream sandwich on my Nexus S, so I've been sort of preoccupied just with that, but I haven't had a chance to get my hands on the Galaxy Nexus. Is it much bigger than the what was the phone but right before that?
Well, I have the Nexus S.
Right, the Nexus S. So compared to the Nexus S, is it?
This is it. You can you can hide it.
Yep.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's rather large. It's fine for me. It's a little heavier than the Galaxy S2.
Well, I think Leo's review on your new wonderful gadget show,
yes,
was very, very good because it was more of a follow up to what he did last week on this show, where he went in a little more depth and said, not sure.
Yeah, I know Eileen likes it.
I love it. I disagree with him.
Why are they slicing the prices down so much? Is it because there's more people?
They got to get 700,000 a day, man. You got
yeah,
volume.
exactly.
You got to make it up in volume.
$155 after an instant rebate and a $75 off coupon code plus contract.
You know, here's the problem with it. So I still have, idiot that I am, my 7-inch Galaxy Tab, right, which now has prehistoric Android
Is it like
on it.
Eclair, Froyo?
Oh,
Froyo.
it's what was the B? It's
There was no B. It was just cupcake.
Butterscotch? I don't know.
Oh, okay. it's the Fred Flintstone version, whatever that is. And so I said, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm paying $44 a month. I'm not using it. I want something new, but I just want to get rid of this. And of course, I've got a 2-year contract, $200 to get rid of this, and it is out of date. It is permanently, awfully, horribly out of date. So I appealed to T-Mobile. I had to email them to appeal the $200 cancellation fee, but it just makes you say never, never, never again a contract.
It's a lot more expensive, but it feels better.
It does. So I looked up the prices. I'm going to see if I can't get out of the contract, I want to take the SIM out of this one and put it in, because my phone, of course, is the Nexus 1, which is even earlier.
No, but that's classic. That's good. The Nexus 1 is a great handset.
I'm delighted with it. But I went on Amazon, and you can buy unlocked. I don't know what the trick is, but you can buy unlocked a lot of Android handsets that are not that far back. And so I can, for less than $200, I can buy a whole new handset, put the SIM in it, get the data, and I'll be a little less mad at myself.
Yep. So, Leo panned Ice Cream Sandwich, or he panned the handset, or was both? It was the combination of both.
Yeah, it was both.
So first, I'm really sad for my Nexus 1 owner friends, and I have several, because that's a great handset, that they're not getting Ice Cream Sandwich. That really stinks. But I have the Nexus S, and I got Ice Cream Sandwich, and I love it. I am going to disagree with Leo on this as well, and I'm with Eileen.
Yay, Gina!
It's really great. I mean, the visual refresh is amazing. It feels like a totally different phone. This is just a straight up Ice Cream Sandwich, and the only thing I don't like about the visual refresh is that things feel a little flat. So it's hard to tell where to tap. I'm still sort of getting used to it, but there's so many great new features. Like I love all the new camera stuff. The Gmail app is awesome. I'm a widget girl, so I love that you can scroll widgets now and resize widgets. Like I have my calendar kind of on my home screen. I think there are a lot of really great things about Ice Cream Sandwich. I'm really excited for apps to catch up to ICS so that they take advantage of the action bar and all the kind of new stuff in ICS. But if you've got a handset, if you got an Android handset, to go from Gingerbread to Ice Cream Sandwich is a huge leap, because you're hopping over honeycomb essentially. So I really love it, and I was surprised that Leo. I heard a few people on Twitter said that they didn't like that Leo panned it so quickly because he hadn't been used it for very long. And I mean I've been using it pretty steadily since Saturday, and I'm still discovering stuff. I just figured out how to take a screenshot on it today. I was kind of excited about that. The panoramic stuff in the camera is great. I'm not a camera buff. I'm not gonna search the market for a camera app with panoramic. But now that it's just built into the regular camera, I've taken a bunch of panoramic photos, especially now at the holidays. So I'm digging Ice Cream Sandwich.
How's your battery?
Battery seems about the same. I have an extra battery. I bought an extra battery a while ago, and I carry it with me just because I've sort of accepted that that's what I have to do. I mean, all my iPhone friends have those juice pack things anyway. It seems it's the same for me. It seems about the same.
It's like, do you miss your iPhone friends? What about the other with my old eyes, Gina?
Yes.
With screen res, what Leo said and what I've seen elsewhere is that the type really does resolve pretty damn small. Do you find the type at all hard to read? Or do you have young, vibrant eyes?
I don't want to sound ageist. I don't have a problem with the type at all. I really like the type, and I haven't had a hard time reading it. It does actually get small. Now that you say so, it is kind of small. But isn't this has to be configurable? There are so many settings on this one. I feel like I'm still discovering how many settings there are. I'd be surprised if you couldn't change that. I love that you can swipe off the notifications too. Yeah. Swiping off the notifications.
What was your biggest complaint with Leo?
Well, he didn't like anything. He doesn't like the soft buttons. He doesn't like the look. He likes the apps. He likes the updated apps. He hates the task manager.
He hates the task manager?
He hates it. Yeah. If you go to he can't stand that. What else? I mean, I can't even remember anything that he really likes other than the the updated apps. Like I said, well, what about Gmail? Oh, and he likes voice recognition. The voice recognition is much is better on ICS.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, that was really nice. And the text response is super cool. I can't use it because I'm Google Voice full time, and it sends it from your actual phone number, which I was sad about. I'm hoping that Google Voice is going to work with that. When you get an incoming call, you can kind of swipe up and say, hey, text back immediately. Hey, can I call you later? Or some menu of responses, which is cool. The visual refresh is really beautiful, although, as I said, it's very flat. So there's no depth to any of the buttons or anything. So at first I had a little bit of a hard time. I was like, where do I tap? Because I was just used to having buttons that have a little, 3D feel to them. But you get used to that quickly. And some of the settings do feel buried. Like I said, I'm on the Nexus S, so I have all my old buttons that the Galaxy Nexus doesn't have anymore.
There it is. There's Nexus S with ICS there. I think my biggest beef with him is he said, unlike what you just said, Gina, is that this is not a huge improvement, and I completely disagree with him.
I think it is. Yeah,
I think it is a huge improvement.
It is, especially for handset. I mean, unless you've had a honeycomb tablet, which not a lot of people have. This is a really big improvement. I think even from honeycomb, it's quite an improvment.
If I were going to buy a phone really nice. Other than this one to get ice cream sandwich, what phone should that be?
Well, I mean, the only choices right now are the Nexus S and the Galaxy Nexus, right? The T-Mobile Nexus S and the Galaxy Nexus, I think, are the only two phones that have it.
Right. Well, and all the other phones are going to get them eventually, but we don't have dates. We don't know when, and that's always, that's always a risk.
My advice for someone who's looking to buy a phone right now would be to just wait a few months for the ice cream sandwich to come out on more handsets, and also for the other apps to catch up to the ice cream sandwich visual design and incorporate the features that it has, because then you'll get kind of the best of both. So, if your contract is up right now and you're dying for a phone, I love the Nexus X.
Tell me which one has physical buttons. That's the thing that I think is so funny when people complain about this, and I know it's because you're used to using it in a certain way, but the physical buttons on the Nexus S aren't physical buttons.
They're not physical
They're
buttons.
just sort of touch screens that are embedded and never go away. The buttons on Ice Cream Sandwich on the Nexus S, the Galaxy Nexus, I mean, look just like the physical buttons. They just happen to be on the screen, and they go away sometimes.
And there are fewer of them, aren't there?
There's three
on the Galaxy Nexus. So there's 3 on the Galaxy Nexus, and then 4
You're missing the
on the Nexus
search
S.
on the that you have the search on Nexus S.
The search, yeah.
And they're both pure Android experience, except that Verizon doesn't have the wallet, right?
Well, no, it does have the wallet now.
Oh,
it doesn't come with the wallet.
Right, you have to put it in.
You have to go get it and sideload it, but it will work. I didn't get a chance to watch the Ninja Galaxy Nexus unboxing.
Well, this is from Matt.
This is the one that Matt Cutts sent us. So I couldn't
figure it out.
It's a game.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, here.
Oh, I get it. I waited for something to happen.
Press next.
And then the whole page goes 8-bit. And then you just start playing.
Oh, I see. So you're unboxing
the Nexus
as part of the 8-bit Ninja game.
Right. And I'm terrible at this if I try playing this.
It's HTML5 game?
Oh, here we go. K is kick. Okay.
Oh, nothing happened for me. I get it now.
You watch it, and now you start playing.
Why are we fighting a white ninja? Are we trying to get to the box? Is that what's going on?
What is the objective?
What's my motivation?
Here's what it is. This is Matt Cutts'. He is the ninja. That's why he likes it so much.
Oh.
That's it. That's what it is. We figured it. You've unmasked him.
Down spammers. Matt, calm, quiet, nice Matt sees himself as a ninja. I get it now.
He's on your ceiling right now. You didn't even know. All right. Google sticks the Nexus S ice cream sandwich update back in the freezer, says Engadget. Apparently, not everybody was able to get it. the way Gina
would.
Some people are still able to get it. Other people have not. And according to a statement from Google Community Manager Paul Wilcox, if you received an update notification a little while ago, but the update isn't currently available for your phone, this is likely the result of Google pausing the update in your area while we monitor feedback.
I downloaded it manually from like the XDA developers. You know, it was a rockin' Saturday night here in New York City.
Good times.
I was like, I have to have this right now, and I will get it. There's no way I could wait. Google TV made me wait too long, so I just went for it with the Nexus S. But so I think that you probably can still, if you Google where to find the zip file. It's sort of a pain. I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. Just wait for the update to come. You'll get it. But it makes sense for Google that they'd pause. But, you know, if you're an Android enthusiast, you're going to be like me. You're just not going to want to wait. But you can do it manually, and it's not that difficult. And you don't have to have it. Your phone doesn't have to be rooted to begin with, which is nice.
Well, okay, that was going to be my question: is if you have to root. So you can just find the zip file. You can put it on.
Find the zip file. You move it to your phone's SD card. Then you boot up your phone. You hold up the volume button in power, and then you just say, hey, you know, run this, you know, bootloader, and you're good. And it runs.
The International Trade Commission has ruled that HTC infringed upon one of Apple's patents, but that one is still a win. They have until April to work around the patent they found to be violating, or HTC will no longer be able to sell their phones in the United States. People sometimes freak out when they hear that. ITC rules this way quite a lot, and usually the company gets plenty of time, like they did in this case, and are able to work around it. HTC says they already have the solution, so they don't even need until April 19th, but they get a lot of time. What does this mean for Android, though? It's another loss. Now, there were more than one patent here, but they lost on one. We're still kind of waiting for Google to get Motorola in the house. Will this sort of stuff change when that happens?
I don't know. I mean, doesn't this then become dominoes from HTC to the other manufacturers and Google itself? HTC is just the victim in the crosshairs, right?
Well, yeah, one would think. Although it depends on whether that particular patent is easily proved to be a problem. Remember, there were other patents here that they were found not to be violating.
Right.
And Apple, unlike
HTC, said they were going to develop around it.
Right.
But then
exactly.
That's probably another forked version of Android.
Is it? Gina, do you know? Does that mean they have to fork Android if they work around this stuff? Is it? I don't know enough about the patent that was found to be violated to know if that is something that is core. Like if I'm using a stock Android, is that also going to be violating this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. So it looks like this patent refers to a method of data detection that allows a mobile device to recognize things like email addresses and phone numbers and move them to, you know, a relevant, like the dialer app or your email app on your phone. This just frustrates me so much because it's just like, this is just, you know, this shouldn't, it gets me crazy. This is crazy. So you tap on a phone number and it launches the dialer app, and so this is the patent that Apple says that it had, and that Android shouldn't have. And as far as I know, this is just kind of built into Android. Android actually has innovated in the area of being able to send data in between apps. That you know, the Android Share menu is very customizable, and as a developer, you can insert items to be able to send data easily to your app. So I think that is core, and I'm not sure what this means then for stock Android. I don't know if they have to fork it or.
Well, Google could come up with their own
forks because it's the only one that has to deal with it right now.
Right, but Google could decide to come up with its own technical workaround, or HTC's workaround could be contributed into the source code and be implemented by anyone. There's ways for it to propagate. I don't know if they will.
Right.
But it's just, you know, the ongoing patent wars. It's not going to get any better, folks. Sorry.
Ah, it sucks.
Now yeah, go ahead, Gina.
I know. I always go back to when, you know, the Apple folks went to Xerox PARC and saw the GUI and came back and said, you know, great, you know, and Jobs said, great artist steal. I can't help but listen to, you know, think of that whole story whenever these things come up. You know, HTC said this is a small UI experience and would remove it from its phone. So maybe this is detection and sharing that goes a little farther than the stock Android. So maybe this won't be an issue for the core.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I won't get tongue-tied about my frustration about patents.
Paul D in the chat room says it doesn't affect 2.3 and later, so that almost makes it irrelevant.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Oh, all right.
I hope he's right.
Never mind.
Last time I was on This Week in Google, Eric Schmidt had just said that by summer, every TV you saw in stores would have Google TV on it. He likes to predict things in 6-month increments, apparently, because this time he told an Italian newspaper, in the next 6 months, we plan to market a tablet of the highest quality. Let the parsing begin. A tablet, not tablets. And we are going to market. We plan to market, not an Android tablet. Is Google going to come out with their own tablet?
A Googlerola, pure Google experience,
Yeah.
front page of google.com, buy it through us. Well, maybe not buy it through us. I wish that
Nexus
Schmidt
of
would just
tablet.
not talk so much and just shit. I wish that we were just sort of like surprised, like, wow, this is a serious iPad rival. I wish the consumers were saying that.
I kind of feel like he was talking to an Italian newspaper. It was printed in, the quote was printed in Italian, although he probably said it in English, and then it was translated from the Italian back. We could have something lost in the translation. It's quite possible, although it's Eric Schmidt we're talking about, so who knows? But it's quite possible he was saying, yeah, in the next 6 months, we're going to be marketing all these great tablets with ice cream sandwich that are going to be high quality, and it just gets babble-fished into sounding different.
Or Google Translated or Google Voice transcription or, you know,
right.
whatever it was.
It happens to Schmidt English to English. You can imagine what happens to Schmidt English to Italian to English.
Does Google Translate have a Schmidt to English?
Oh my God!
Drop
They
down?
obviously need one. If they have Klingon, they need Schmidt to English. Schminglish. we're gonna attempt to make a really good tablet soon. Just hold on and we'll check and we'll see.
That's the other side. It's like, look, yeah, all of our tablets up to now have been crap, but we're gonna make a high quality one.
We're gonna make one that's serious. Now we're getting serious about this tablet thing.
I do think that it's quite possible that Google comes out with some sort of reference tablet eventually, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That seems
absolutely.
possible.
And hopefully we'll get one at Google I/O.
You mean get one free?
No, actually, I don't want to get one free. I want the Google tablet to be so damn good that I can't help but go out and get it.
You have to go
and
buy
it
it.
makes me abandon my iPad.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see ice cream sandwich tablets, and I really feel like in this case, that's what Eric Schmidt was saying, is we've got ice cream sandwich coming out on tablets in the next 6 months, and it's awesome. And I hope it is. I hope it is awesome. Are we going to do the Google Zeitgeist?
Up to you. I don't know. I was kind of bantering my head. Do I save it for next week when Leo and Jeff run through the top stories of the year? But
we could do that because I've also got one I'll put on there right now that you can save, Eileen. We can do next week for top stories in Google versus and blogs versus Twitter versus news. Why don't we do that next week?
All
yeah,
right.
you guys should do the year in review.
Yeah,
I'll put that on right there now.
We could talk about the augmented reality glasses.
Oh,
though.
sure.
Those,
that's more fun.
So
those need to be discussed.
There was a lot of wearable computing news this week. There were rumors about Apple dipping into wearable computing. And you know, sort of the watch stuff. One of the interesting things is, and I can't remember the guy's name, and I don't see it in this article, an expert on wearable computing was hired by Apple, worked for them for a while, but this summer moved to Google. And Read Write Web has a story about possible glasses that would look like normal, probably hipsterish glasses. They wouldn't look like big, you know, virtual reality goggles like we're used to seeing from the 90s, but they look like normal glasses, but have a heads-up display. So they would augment reality while you're just walking around.
Google goggles kind of installed in the inside of your glasses lenses, basically, kind of telling you what things are and bringing up the Wikipedia page, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Nick Bilton wrote about it for the New York Times, says it's part of the Google X Lab that prompted Google specialist Seth Weintraub, now at Fortune and formerly of Computer World, to call the news an open secret among some in the Google community. There's a lot of that kind of stuff where they're like, oh, yeah, everybody at Google's been doing this. They've been trying it out. So we should station a reporter down in Mountain View to just look for people who are all wearing the same kind of glasses.
Wearing hipster glasses.
And kind of have a 10,000-yard stare when they look at you.
Yeah.
Stumbling around the street, seeing nothing, yes.
Yeah, if we go to Mountain View looking for people wearing hipster glasses, we will find them. But that doesn't mean that these kind of glasses. I love this. No, this is William Gibson, Neil Stephenson, Daniel Suarez's world come to life. This is the kind of thing that you know, it makes me feel like we're living in the future. The idea that I could just put on a pair of glasses, look totally normal, and walk around seeing like, oh, that's, you know, that's so-and-so, or this is the location where this happened, or there's the menu for that restaurant, that kind of Google goggles kind of stuff.
Well,
or your last Google Plus post.
Yeah.
Yes.
Notifications from the person that's walking toward you.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see friends who I just haven't seen for a while, I always try to like look at their Twitter stream or their blog or whatever, their Facebook before we get together. So I kind of had like, oh, how's your dog? I saw that you know, whatever. I saw you took him to the vet last week. Kind of like that ambient intimacy that you get from social media. I want that. I don't want to have to remember to check before I leave. I just want to see the glasses, you know, kind of the latest tweet. You know, I had tuna for lunch. How was your sandwich? You know, right on my head.
Or in my case, it would tell me how many times this person has insulted me on Twitter.
Oh, this is the troll that said "F you, Jeff," like 50 times. You could say it in person.
Then I turn into a ninja, and
we press the K button for you to kick.
That's right. Last year at CES, I think somebody had ski goggles with Google Maps in them, right? So you know we've seen this layer. LAYAR has been talking about this for a while. So yeah, then what will happen is that the federal government will outlaw walking in them.
Well, actually, Marshall Kirkpatrick at Read Write Web speculates at the very end of his article, in a future with SOPA, they could prohibit looking at copyrighted materials through these glasses.
Yes.
Sorry, you don't have the rights to look at that television screen with those glasses on.
Well, and in Germany, you'll walk in, and they'll blur certain buildings as you pass by.
That's right, they would. Because they do that on Google Street View. Yeah. So if you're using Google Street View in your glasses to get extra information, all of a sudden everything gets blurry. You wander out on the Autobahn and get run down.
That building is not in your rights.
The building does not exist.
I had to take off my glasses so I could see.
Yeah. All right. Facebook, Google, Apple, and Rackspace rated best places to work among the best places to work.
The latter comes just from Scoble voting a lot.
No, come on. They deduped him, right? Right?
Yes, yeah. This week in Scoble.
Exactly. Glassdoor does this. This is an annual thing for them. This is their 4th annual Employees Choice Awards. When I worked at CNET, actually, they would let folks know that it was going on. It wasn't quite a campaign, but they'd send out a company-wide email like, hey, Glassdoor's taking the voting on best places to work. You might want to go look at.
Speaking of which, guys, you all want to vote for us, of course, in Twig nominated on TV.com.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, speaking of cheating on polls.
Speaking of voting. Speaking of campaigning.
Twit Army, do your thing. Go.
Yeah, just the tech sector, 2012, best places to work in technology in this order. Facebook, MITRE, been around for a long time. Heavy-duty back-end stuff. Google, Apple, and Rackspace. Facebook actually slipped from the top spot to number 3 on the 2012 list, and Google has moved up to the 5th slot from number 30 on last year's list.
Oh, Larry.
Yeah.
And then there's the CEO approval rating. Everybody fell.
Oh, never mind.
Mark Zuckerberg slipped to 89% from 96%. I think that's the economy, right?
It is the economy.
I mean, not just Zuckerberg, but pretty much everybody. Tim Cook had a 96% approval, just 1 point below Steve Jobs' approval rating last year of 97%. So that's not too bad. Eric Schmidt's 96% at the end of last year compared to Larry Page having a 92%, so a little lower. These things are, you know, they can easily be wrong. This isn't a scientific poll, is it?
No.
Yeah, and you know, Cook, let's see how he does next year. Yeah, I think right now it's like support Tim and Apple, you know. I want to see what his approval rating is next year.
New Facebook apps out, and Read Write Web, amongst many others, reporting that appdata.com revealed daily average use on Facebook for Android surpassed Facebook for iPhone. Android Facebook app now has 58.8 million daily average users, while Facebook for iPhone has only 57.6 million daily average users. Why is that? Is the Facebook app on Android just that much better?
Yeah, this is fascinating. I'd love to know what Twitter's numbers are. Like, is this about Facebook or
is
it
about
about
the
Android?
installed base? Yeah, it's the installed base. It's 700,000 a day. That's what's happening.
Well, yeah. Is it just bulk?
I think it's bulk.
Yeah.
Right.
More Android phones out there. So more people using Facebook. Makes sense. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our other sponsor for This Week in Google, Netflix. Stream thousands of TV episodes and movies directly to you instantly on all kinds of devices. If you've got a television that's internet connected, you probably have it as an app right there on the television. It's also available in all the major game consoles, Xbox 360, Wii, PS3. In fact, I read a stat the other day that the Wii has the most video streaming of all three consoles. People using it to watch television. Get it on the Google TV. I was watching, well, Eileen was watching Gossip Girl over Netflix on
I have
Google TV
admitted,
last night.
I'm watching that show.
All kinds of ways to watch all the TV episodes and movies you want directly to you on your mobile, too, phone, tablet, all those ways. And you can get it for free for 30 days, netflix.com/twit, the perfect cheap-out holiday present. When you've forgotten, you're at that holiday party, someone has gotten you a gift certificate to Red Lobster, and you don't know what to do, write down netflix.com/twit, 30 days free, hand it to them. You're in the clear. Because it works for anybody. Doesn't matter. 30 days free, unlimited streaming of movies and TV shows, and we thank Netflix for their support of This Week in Google. Kindle Fire, fastest growing tablet since the original iPad. Doesn't shock me. Is that surprising to anybody?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I'm seeing lots of friends and family this week, and everyone's gotten a Kindle of some sort. But the Fire, a lot of people, get in Fire. Yep. I think it's like the iPad opened up this market of this small handheld touchscreen computer, and the Fire is affordable, and there's an update out already apparently.
Yeah, there's
fixing the lagginess of it. Yeah.
Yeah, update out today. It does all those things. It allows you to delete embarrassing things from the carousel too.
Ah, does it?
So you can safely
like
visit
Gossip Girl or
the Gossip Girl website.
Yeah.
No one need ever know. Also added features to the Kindle iOS app that, on the other tablet. So you can access all the magazines and newspapers that you can on the Kindle Fire on iOS. I think that's interesting that Amazon has created this very nimble strategy of competing with itself, which I think ends up getting you more people in the end. Because you can't say like, oh, well, that Kindle app on the Fire is much better than the iPad. It's like, use the Kindle, buy our stuff. And that's really the point, is that they are making hand over fist. We talked about this on Tech News Today yesterday. They're making a lot of money off of the Kindle Fire, off of all the Kindles, actually, all the versions of it, more money than ever.
It's a very efficient buying machine, for sure.
Yeah.
They've done great. I think it's great.
Is it good for Android, bad for Android, or neutral for Android?
I've never figured that one out.
Since it's so modified, that's the question, huh?
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times, and at first I thought that it was good for Android because, hey, it's an open source project, and it's great because this means that Amazon is working on the Android code, and more people are going to know Android and have experience with Android. But I think that I'm kind of to the point where I just think it's neutral. I think that the fact that it's Android is a complete non-issue for Amazon. And sort of not. I mean, I guess Google's happy that Amazon's getting it out there, but I don't think that it's really goes either way. I think for Amazon, this is an easy way to deliver a color touchscreen experience on the Kindle. But we're just going to make this a really good buying machine. I don't think that Android really had much to do with it. I think it's kind of neutral.
That's the way I feel right now too, Gina. It's neutral. It doesn't hurt Android in any way,
right.
But it sort of doesn't really give it a help because I think people think of it as Kindle. Yeah,
exactly. It's a Kindle, right? There's not a lot that's recognizable as Android on it, and it's an older version of Android. I had this kind of. I'm an open source hippie, right? So I had this vision that Amazon and Google were going to start working on the Android code together. Amazon would be like submitting patches, and in theory that can certainly happen, right? I don't know that it has, and I don't know if it will. I hope so, but that's cool either way. I think it's great that you have two companies with the resources that they have with engineers working on Android. I do think that makes it stronger, but for the most part, I think it's just neutral because it's such a different version because it's been totally Amazonified.
But one thing is that there was a report out of Canada this last week that Amazon was interested in buying RIM, and basically that now puts RIM on the market finally because the value has gone down to nothing. And that becomes interesting. Does Amazon have its own phones. And if Google owns Motorola, does Amazon own RIM? And then does Amazon change OSs? And it's, RIM supposedly turned down the offer, but this is just the start of a process.
Yeah, apparently RIM turned out a lot of offers. Microsoft was also nosing around, and they said, no, we don't want to sell. At least the co-CEOs, Lazaridis and Balsillie, said, no, we don't want to sell. Amazon kind of has a soft spot for RIM. I think maybe Bezos looks at it and says, please let me buy you. Yeah. I like BlackBerries. I want to save BlackBerries. I designed the first Kindle to look like a BlackBerry. And that they actually did.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons it looks so weird, I think. But yeah, the Kindle is doing exactly what Amazon wanted. It's making money off of sales. It's making money off of selling you things, getting you to buy things from Amazon through all the different stores that they offer on there. And I think it's a huge success in a way that doesn't impact not only Android, but I don't think it impacts any other tablets, really. I know it counts as a tablet, and so it's taking share from the iPad in that way. But I think they're two different things. I'm on that side of the argument. I don't think it's wrong to compare the Fire and the iPad. But I think what Apple's doing is saying we want to sell a device. So we put some content out there to get you to buy the device. And it's an expensive device, not horribly expensive, but it's a high-end device. And it's an appliance, and it's meant to do a lot of things. And hopefully we can convince you it's good for productivity, and we can sell some to hospitals and schools, and pilots can use it in the cockpit. Amazon's saying that's not what we want to do. We want to make a very inexpensive device that gets you to consume media and buy MP3s and videos and books and even physical objects from us through our store.
Yep.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right.
Are we offended that they seem to be redirecting any request for the Android marketplace to the Amazon store, the Amazon Android store?
I think more choice for consumers is better, but it's their device.
But if I just want to look, if I want to go on the web and look at the Android marketplace and just kind of browse around and see what would be available there, it takes that's
slightly obnoxious.
It redirects me.
You're right. It is obnoxious.
That is kind of obnoxious.
I get why the App Store would work, like an App Store link would work that way. That's usability. There's got to be a way to let me browse around, though. Of course, I put GetJar. That was the first thing I did when I got my Fire. I put GetJar on it.
You put GetJar on it, yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, there's nothing that would be confusing about letting a user look through the Android market on the web browser. If they clicked install, their Kindle wouldn't show up, in the list of compatible devices, even if they were signed into Google. I think it would be pretty clear. So I didn't realize actually that they were doing that, the redirecting just web links to the market. So that's slightly obnoxious, but it is their device, and they're very involved in all the web browsing that happens on the Fire, and that is a feature, right? I mean, that's the Silk browser. So I think that's part. I think when you buy the Kindle, you're buying the Amazon experience and the privilege of buying Amazon products very easily and cheaply.
Apparently, the new update fixes this. I have yet to get the update and check it out. So I hope it is fixed, so that because I can't imagine Amazon would really want to be that annoying. FTC Senators Herb Kohl and Mike Lee have written to Google. Or actually, no, not to Google. They've written about Google to the Federal Trade Commission about Google's market dominance. They want the FTC to investigate whether Google is abusing their position in the marketplace to steer users to its own web products.
I put this in here just mainly for one little reason, which was to sigh. We went through this before.
We're still going through it in Europe, right?
They're just being idiots.
When this issue was first raised, I think it was either in the Texas case or maybe one of the European cases. I absolutely rolled my eyes and said, "Look, Google's a website, and you don't have to use it for search, so they can direct you to anything they want, legally. However, there is an argument to be made that search has become so important to using the web that it may be some sort of quasi-common carrier." And if that's the case, could they be found to be abusing their market share?
but they don't have the market share here that they have in Germany, for example. Market share here is 60-some%. Germany, it's 90-some%. There's plenty of other competitors. And, you know, by that same token, the New York Times has a large market share for national newspapers, and it promotes its own stuff. So, Good Morning America promotes ABC shows. Really?
Yeah, I know.
I know, shocking.
And honestly, I don't think Google is, I don't know this for sure, but I don't think Google is purposely redirecting searches to other things. For instance, when you search on search, this is my favorite example, the top search result is Bing. Now, if I mean, no one would blink an eye if the top search result in Google for search was Google, but somehow they're not even at the top. It's Bing, then Dogpile, then Yahoo, then MetaSearch, then Google Insights. I don't see AltaVista, but
that's a great example.
But yeah, I mean, and granted, they could be saying, "Oh, well, that's too obvious. So let's get ourselves out of there." And maybe they are. Maybe they're saying, "Well, you know, if you're in Google looking for search, well, then you're obviously not looking for Google because you're there." That makes more sense to me. I think search could be considered a utility to some extent, though.
I think that's very dangerous.
I think it's starting to become that important.
Well, I disagree. I think it's also becoming less and less a force, and what becomes more and more a force is social. And search is yesterday's war.
But I think it's always going to have utility. This idea that, you know, that we've been saying for years, well, this is going to replace search. Facebook's going to replace Google, or Siri is going to replace Google. I think those all take a bite out of what we use search for, but I think there's always a core to what we need search for that will mean a search engine always has to be around.
I don't think it's abused it in any way, and I think that this is just a couple senators grandstanding. So,
yeah, I agree with that. I really don't see any examples of them abusing their position. And like you say, it's 60%. It's dominant, but it's not massive. I mean, if you're going to do that, then you need to sue Apple for antitrust for dominating the iPad market, which has been proposed. Don't think it hasn't. All right, we kind of touched on why Amazon would be interested in buying RIM.
Yeah, I think we're.
So we can kind of skip past that. Although I don't think RIM's going to sell. I said that before. And
I can't wait to hear what Gina's tip is now.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the tax cut, or should we go into the tips?
Oh, that was just a minor note that just said that Obama took to is bringing the fight, the tax cut fight, to both Twitter and Facebook, and started I think I forget, it's $40. What does $40 mean to you? And a $40 hashtag. So some smart social person in there is using these for political ends.
This is certainly not going to be the first campaign to be fought on social networks, but I think it's going to be the most fought, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's just,
especially when it gets down to 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's a given that they're going to be doing this.
Absolutely. They're really smart social media people, and I think that they know that if they ask a question like that, and we're tracking all the responses to those questions that they pose, if you ask a really direct, simple question like that, you get some great responses, and I'm using ThinkUp with the White House to capture those responses. So, I mean, they're only going to get better at social media, especially now that the campaign's going to heat up next year.
Now they need voice response. That's the new trend.
Yes.
I just speak to a campaign, and it gives me answers. All right, Gina, let's go to your tip. What do you got for us?
All right, so I was going to do a completely fluffy tip. I'll do 2 tips. One is actually helpful and productive.
It's Christmas time, of course. Give us lots of tips.
Gina, I'm going to do a fluffy tip too. I just changed my mind, so do a fluffy tip.
I'm going to do a fluffy tool. So yeah, don't.
Well, I'll do something somewhat useful. If you use Google Voice and you're on iOS, the Google Voice app for iOS just got an update that supports multi-recipient texting, which I'm sure that you're going to be wanting to do over the holidays when organizing get-togethers. So it sounds like a little minor thing, but I remember when the Android app got that, and I was like, oh, God, finally, I can send a text to multiple people. So that's the actually useful tip. The fluffy tip is this holiday season, when you get your new phone, your Fire, your new tablet, and one of your family members who doesn't spend as much time on the web as you do is like, okay, show me something good. Go to youtube.com/rewind. And I'm sorry, Jeff and Leo, I'm stealing one of your best of the year stories. Top 10 most watched videos on YouTube, all absolute gold. Number 10 actually is my favorite. It's a mama kitten hugging her little kitten. It's amazing. It's just amazing. There's a little kitten.
It's YouTube.
The little kitten is sleeping, and the mom is sleeping. The little kitten starts to have some bad dreams and shake her little paws, and it's absolutely adorable. And then the mama kitten just gives her a big hug, and you're just like, your grandmother, your grandfather, your aunts and uncles, they will all melt. They will just be like, this is amazing. The web is the best thing ever. So top 10 most watched videos. and we have the video up now. Look, so the kitten's having a little bit of a, she's dreaming, you know, maybe like, and then the mama kitten reaches out and pulls her in. Look.
That is the cutest thing.
Come on, is that not the cutest thing ever?
I don't like cats, and that's cute.
Of course, you're going to find like Rebecca Black Friday and, you know, the kind of typical, a lot of videos you've probably seen already, but there's some really good gold in there. So show your relatives the top 10 videos on YouTube of the year, and they'll be completely blown away about all the good stuff on the internet.
Let's be clear, folks. The tip is not that there are cat videos on YouTube.
The
tip is to use the cat videos and the other top 10 videos to entertain the family, right? To
entertain the family, and to get them enjoying using their new devices, which will play YouTube on them.
I think it's a great tip. Yeah,
it was a stretch.
It's good to have
material. That kitten video somehow. Yeah, had to get that in there.
All right, Jeff Jarvis, what is your number, sir?
$2 million. $2 million is the fine that the Federal Trade Commission has just levied against Santa Claus for violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, for collecting their consumer preferences for toys, for giving that information to third parties without permission, for maintaining a database of naughtiness and niceness, for tying this data to personally identifiable information, including the name, address, and age, for making visits allegedly in the dead of night to these homes. And he's done it on an unprecedented scale, and it's time for it to stop.
I agree. I can get where do we sign the petition?
To go get Santa.
To support this. I'll tell you who's been naughty this year. The FTC knows. That's hilarious. That's on BuzzMachine.com.
I just wrote that.
You just wrote that up. That's fantastic.
The little Cabernet, you can thank the Cabernet or blame it.
Well, now this is a tool you can use to help fight this menace. You want to know where this guy is. If he's coming anywhere near your house, go to noradsanta.org. This is my tool.
This really is This Week in Fluff, yes.
And you can track him. There's even, just tie it into Twig. There's even a Google Earth layer that you can install on Google Earth that will track in real time.
That sounds too legitimate, Tom. Not fluffy enough.
There's a Google Maps.
There's a Google Earth layer.
There's a Google Maps for mobile app that you can install. NORAD's been doing this since the 50s. You know, this started, I covered this on Tech History Today. This started because NORAD's number was accidentally published in a newspaper in Colorado, I think it was Colorado, as the phone number to call and leave a message for Santa. And so the colonel in charge of NORAD, it was before it was called NORAD, but the colonel in charge at the time said, well, let's just start giving them positioning information. That's what we do. And that's how it was born.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a tradition. It's a holiday tradition, NORAD.
Well, and plus with this, with this new FTC investigation, it's important to know where the hell this guy is.
Sorry, yeah, all of Germany is blurred out. Germany's investigating his use of Street View.
Google Santa View. Also, last Friday, the Ho-Ho hotline from Santa teamed up with Gmail to send personalized holiday phone calls to anyone you know who has been nice or naughty in the U.S. and Canada. So if you get the message at his Google Voice number, 855-34-SANTA, you can try that out. Go to sendacallfromsanta.com, and you can have Santa call anybody you want. This is an actual tool. I mean, this is a fun thing.
By the way, people, don't have it call me. It's going to irritate me immensely. It's spam. It's going to just get me very Scroogey, okay?
Elizabeth, welcome to the North Pole.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Happy holidays, folks.
He's investigating this guy. Yeah, exactly. We've got the Festivus poll set up right here. Okay, should we go out on the frog video?
We'll go out the frog video.
We'll go out on...
For the background, this is a follow-up to last week's lizard-eating Android screen ants video.
All right. Leo Laporte,
27 seconds long.
Leo Laporte will be back next week for the year-end wrap-up This Week in Google. Don't miss it. Jeff Jarvis, buzzmachine.com. Every tree should have a copy of Public Parts underneath it this holiday season.
You weren't worried about the third night of Hanukkah? There you go. There you go. That's what it
Every menorah, every tree, every Festivus pole. Get one, put it under there. And then while you sit back and sip your cocoa and your eggnog and look at the fireplace over the holidays, go to smarterwear.org and sign up for ThinkUp.
Yeah, get ThinkUp. Archive your tweets and your posts. Own your data, people.
Exactly.
I actually won't be here next week for the end of, so I will see everyone in the new year.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't be here either. So I'm in solidarity with you.
Okay. Good. Me and Tom, we won't be here, but we still love you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Gina and Tom tribute. Nice.
Thanks, everybody, for watching This Week in Google. Glee, Chipotle. We'll see you next time.
If I could get this going.
Okay, that's good.
You got to watch to the end.
I like that he's really reaching for it, really jumping for it.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, isn't that good?
Ouch.
Happy Festivus.
Wow. He's like, I'm tired of not getting any flies or any ants.
I need to get something.
I know. I need a bite of something good.